Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory and today is Wednesday, April the 11th, 2018. I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming back to the show my good friend and colleague, Mr. Louis Cammarosano. You know him, you love him, you can find all of his work over at smaulgld.com. Louis, welcome back.
Hey Rory, good to be back. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I hope you are.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm glad that you're here. We have a lot going on. We've got Zuckerberg up on the hill giving his spiel about how Facebook is a tyrant and what a liar he is, which that's been completely exposed. We've got Putin and Trump in a standoff. You know, both of them have their finger hovering above the red button to annihilate the world, and we have gold and silver on the rise today. We have our freedoms and our liberties have been under attack for entirely too long. And it seems that our freedoms, our liberties, our way of life under a constitution is coming to an end. And I hate to say that, but every time that I look around, these guys are attacking us. Once again, as you are probably well aware, Louis, I know I've talked to you about it. I've been under attack at the Daily Coin for a long time by these guys. I mean, Google has just about completely de-indexed my website. They have been kicked off of Facebook, which is not a big deal. Twitter is shadow banned most of my subscribers, and so I'm on Gab and Steemit. What are you looking at as far as what are you experiencing? I know that Google you've been under attack from them since day one, basically. So what is your experience?
Well, my experience isn't really instructive because unlike your channel and others and websites, my websites have never attained any large mass audience. So you really can't study what's happened to my site. I've basically been plodding along on everything: Google, Facebook, Twitter. I don't really have. I don't think I have a ban issue in general. I think I just have an overall lack of numbers to really work with. But what I am seeing, though, and it is obvious for the other channels, is banning. Now, for example, Facebook. Now, this one to me is obvious. You know Diamond and Silk?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a follower of theirs because I think they're kind of trite, and one says something, the other one goes, and I think, okay.
But they're fun. They're fun.
They're fun, but they don't really interest me. I don't think they're edgy at all.
No.
Well, Facebook decided that they were unsafe for the community. Now I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
Two little old ladies, one saying, I think this, the other goes, I was like, okay, what's the danger in that? They just happen to like Donald Trump, and they're very vocal about it.
Yes.
And I think that that's the reason, and it's obvious that that's the reason. They are not alt-right. They're not edgy. They're not calling for revolution. They're basically just saying, we like our president and lay off him. And they're not dangerous at all. And they had 1 million+ fans. And the other thing I heard about them, they were complaining, they actually spent money on Facebook. Well, if they're so dangerous, why is Facebook taking their money to try to promote their channel? I mean, the nerve of this guy to take their money and then somehow deem them dangerous. And I saw Ted Cruz ask the question.
Yes.
You know, do you consider yourself a platform? Because in order to get the exemptions, you know, for you basically have to be a neutral platform, and he wouldn't say they were. And basically, they're more like a private publisher where they do censor stuff, and he wouldn't admit that they censor conservatives. And he asked them, well, have you ever censored Planned Parenthood? Have you ever censored a bunch of liberal groups? And he said he didn't know because he wouldn't know because they haven't done it. And all the issues of censorship on Twitter, Google, Facebook have all been towards conservative groups. And that's really what I'm seeing. And then, of course, you see it on the alternative media, too, which is predominantly, probably you would call it conservative, libertarian stuff. That's all what's been targeted. And it's obvious when you have Diamond and Silk, who really, they don't say anything. I mean, from what I've seen, it's just like, I like Donald Trump. That's all I see with the two of them. And I turn it off after a minute or two. I say, okay, you know, and some people find them amusing. And that's not the point, whether I like them, or they're good or they're bad, or they're funny or they're not. The point is, if you're a platform, then they should be allowed on there unless they're threatening and they actually are dangerous. And I just can't see how those two women are in any way, shape, or form dangerous. And this is where it gets out of hand. And the problem is, so what? You know, the Senate's always been a dog and pony show. We've seen Trey Gowdy get up there and rip through everybody. They like to, you know, show that they're telling Lois Lerner off, or they're telling the head of they're telling some person who's done something wrong off. That's just for show. So they tell him off. The guy sits there, is like, "You done yet? You done yet?" Nothing indicates it better than Hillary Clinton when she's getting questioned. She's like twiddling her hair and going, "Yeah, okay, what difference does it make? Leave me alone," because nothing happens. So you bring Zuckerberg in there, and everybody yells at him and tells him, "Yeah, what are you doing? You're attacking conservatives." Some of them don't even know how to use Facebook, which is even more ridiculous. But what's the Senate going to do? There's a Facebook PAC that donates to 80% of these guys. So even if they were going to do something, they're not. So they get up there, they make them feel uncomfortable. Everyone laughed that he had to sit on a baby stool to look taller, and he didn't do too well, you know, answering the questions. Was that going to change anything? No, because people use Facebook. They voluntarily put their stuff up there. I'm less concerned about the data breaches than the censorship. Because if you want to put all your data up there, what do you expect? Of course they're going to. I mean, the Obama campaign had full access to all the Facebook. Now they're just upset that Cambridge Analytics managed to gain some of it and help Donald Trump. That's what they're mad about.
Right.
But the data breach, I think, is a red herring. I think the real issue is the censorship. Is that if you're going to give them your data, or you're going to buy ads, well, unless you do something egregious, and I'm not talking about having an opinion, I'm talking about starting to threaten people, then why are they censoring you? Well, we know why, but I mean, they shouldn't.
Right.
They either should not have any. There has to be either a public utility, like, in other words, if you're using your phone and I call you up and you and I engage in questionable speech, they shouldn't cut our phone bill off, our phone off, or Skype off because we're saying stuff that they don't like. That's more aligned with a public utility. Otherwise, if it's a private company, well, I suppose they can do what they want, but then I'm surprised that there aren't other companies out there that are willing to. People should just be willing to move off of these platforms.
Well, see, and that's the thing is that there's Minds.com, there's Steemit, there's Gab.
Mm-hmm.
There's three right there.
Yep,
there's three alternatives, but and you know, you've got DTube, which is an alternative to YouTube. And here's the thing. I don't know if you listen to Rogue Mornings or not, you know, with V and CJ over at
I know them. I don't listen regularly though, but I have heard a couple of the shows.
And well, V he got on a tear, you know, pointing out the real issue with Facebook, with YouTube, with Google, with these tech giants. And the problem is people use them instead of moving off of them.
Yep.
And this video will not be on YouTube. It will be on two locations. It will be on my Steemit account, and it will be on my website. And that's it. It's not going to be on YouTube. Period. Because I refuse to continue to be a hypocrite and fuss about the censorship and fuss about these dirtbags stealing everything from us and then using their platforms. Period. I'm not going to do it.
Well, you know, Rory, even when they censor you, they still get a benefit because not only do they get the benefit of having censored you, meaning, haha, now no one's going to hear your point of view, which we don't want anyone to hear. But that doesn't mean that the people that visit the platform aren't going to stay on the platform. So let's say I'm a Daily Coin fan, as I am. I go there and I don't see anything there. I don't say, well, screw this, I'm turning off YouTube. I'll go somewhere else where they
Right.
may have allowed a channel to post its content and run ads. So they're going to get the money anyway. They're going to get my viewing time because instead of spending 40 minutes watching this one, I may look at 3 or 4 other videos, or maybe spend 40 minutes watching something that they don't have a problem with. Because not everything, see, what they realize probably all too well is there are some people that only want to hear Rory Hall style content or
And I understand and respect that, but here's the problem. We have to we as in all of us have to move collectively away from them. And if
that's the reason.
And here's the problem. Because if you're going to just move from, well, the Daily Coin didn't post anything and smaulgld didn't post anything, so I'll go over to Chris Dwayne's channel and I'll watch Chris Dwayne today, or SGT Report, or whatever, wherever you go.
Right.
Then you are the problem.
Correct.
Then
because
you have
Google knows that.
you have now become the problem. And it's no longer a YouTube problem. It's no longer a Google problem. It's no longer a Facebook problem. It's a you are the problem. And that's where the rubber meets the road. Instead of you, the listener, doing something about it, you continue to fuel the fire. And then you want to fuss about it and go, well, yeah, they're dirtbags. They've censored Diamond and Silk, but I need to update my status to angry. You know, it's like, hello. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You see, that's my point. That's my whole thing.
Your point is that there's 2 sides to this, and I think what a lot of content consumers are looking for are content providers to walk off, and the content providers are looking for the content followers to stop watching on YouTube. It's not going to happen. It has to happen. Both sides have to move off.
Right.
Because otherwise, see, what I do think, though, however, it's easier for the content providers because it's a smaller number. I mean, if you took the top 150 alternative media content providers and you just started doing, today we're not on YouTube, we're on this channel. And then the next week, today we're on this channel. And then you started doing it more often, you could slowly, within 2 months, migrate 60, 70% of your people over there and eventually just stop publishing there, and they would lose that. And the reason that's a good thing is because Google wants to silence your voice but keep your audience.
Right.
But if they can silence your voice on YouTube but you keep your voice in the same number somewhere else, they're pissed off because now not only they're not silenced your voice, they've lost those people who, as I was saying, would opportunistically go and look at something else and they'd make their money anyway.
Right. So they've lost the revenue stream and the clicks. They've lost everything.
And they've lost the ability to silence you because once you're off the channel, they can't silence you.
Right. Which is, it's, Mike Adams over at Natural News, the Health Ranger. He's developing real.video, and I'm looking forward to that. I hope that I can be part of that program. I've applied for it, and we should know something probably late summer, early fall, whether or not that's going to happen, or not whether or not it's going to happen, whether or not I'll be invited to be part of it or not. I hope so, but we'll see.
This stuff, Rory, is not difficult. Mike Adams, I don't know him, but I doubt he's a multi-trillionaire in order to get this off the ground. The cost of all the technology is so much lower today. Right. To start a company like Facebook or YouTube today requires far less capital and storage space than it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Natural News, and he was banned. The Health Ranger was banned.
Yep.
Deleted from YouTube. 1,700
videos. Deleted from Google at one point too.
Yep, he was de-indexed. They fought. They had the attorney and the clout to be able to fight Google. I don't have the resources to fight Google, so I have to take it, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'll just move on. I've talked to my wife, and she is supportive of what I'm doing. and she supports the fact that I want to continue to fight these guys, and I'm just going to continue to do what I do and fight. I'm not going to allow them to win. That's the bottom line. They will not win.
Well,
Period.
they can only win if you try to fight them on their battleground, because
That's
they only.
correct.
It's trying to win at the casino. You can't.
Right.
You
Right.
can't win. You have to play. You have to take your gambling or stop gambling or go somewhere else and do something else. You're not going to win at a rigged casino.
Right.
They're not going to say, "Oh, you're right, Rory. We're going to promote your channel, and Diamond and Silk will also be reporting your channel because we're going to promote them too. We're going to ban Planned Parenthood." They're not going to do that.
Nope.
Why would they?
Right. Why would they? That's not part of their narrative or their agenda. Their agenda.
They can only be forced to do it, and then it's like, well, it's not going to happen.
Right.
The thing is that people need to get off the platforms if they feel that they're not wanted there.
Right. That's right.
I mean, I see these people that try to get in a country club. It's like, why? If they don't want you and they rejected you for whatever reason, race, color, creed, religion, whatever it is, I wouldn't want to go there.
Right.
It's like I wouldn't force my way in to prove a point and then have everybody looking at me funny. I don't know. So that's what we all seem to want to do, is like we need to make Google or make YouTube like our channels. They're not going to. They could be forced to like our channel. You could force your way into a country club. And they could say, okay, well, they didn't accept me because I'm short. And, but they can let me. I can get a law case to get me in. They're still going to look at me funny because I'm short, because they're all tall and they don't want me there.
Right. They don't want me there.
Go to another country club. Go form your own country club. That's what this is about.
That's what it's about. And the thing is that I don't want to. I mean, I can do videos and set them all to unlisted on YouTube, and nobody ever hear it. Nobody ever hear it or know that they were there. But what's the point of doing that? So
no point.
Right, there is no point. And so until, once again, the people that are listening, that are tuning in, until they change what they're doing, then the platform remains. Until people go and delete en masse their Facebook accounts, Facebook will continue to thrive. And they will continue to censor. They will continue to sell your information. And Zuckerberg will continue to lie about doing so. Period.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just the way that it is.
Nothing can stop him other than force. When I say force, I mean a law says that you have to do this, but even then
he'll find a way to get around it.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter. But what do you think about what's going on in Syria right now, and the fact that Putin just like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago came out and said, yeah, we've got these Mach 20 ICBMs, and you got nothing that can even come close to stopping this. And, and then Trump is talking about pulling the troops out of Syria, redeploying them to the southern border. And all of a sudden, we have a repeat of April 2017. And that animal Assad, quote, attacks his people again. And what is your take on all of this, Louis?
As I mentioned when we were talking, I didn't fully explain. Well, some of this doesn't make sense because I think there's a lot of pieces here that are interconnecting. Well, first of all, you have supposedly the deep state, and supposedly the deep state is against Trump. Now, some people say Trump is part of the deep state, but I'm going to analyze it from the assumptions that there is a deep state and the deep state is against Trump. You have to start somewhere, otherwise you can debate that and you'll never get to an analysis. Okay. Part of the deep state is involved in trying to get rid of Trump never should have been elected. It's Hillary's turn. And the other objective of the deep state has always been the McCains. You have to get rid of Assad. Syria is the problem. And Russia is a problem. And Russia supports Syria. Okay. Trump has generally been consistent in his public statements about what he thinks should be done. He wants to build a wall. He wants to punish China for taking advantage of us. And so in those two instances, I can come up with more, but he has been actively trying to build a wall. He's been just came out and he's putting tariffs on China. So he's been consistent in that. The other thing he's always said, and he said it on Twitter, he said it in the debates, is that you don't tell Libya, you don't tell Iraq, Syria, we're coming to get you, we're going to bomb you, as he was complaining Obama had done. In 6 weeks, we're going to bomb you. He kept saying and pointing out how stupid that was. There's a tweet from Trump. He says that you don't broadcast that you're going to go after Syria. What did he do? I think this morning he's like saying, yeah, well, Putin says X, Y, and Z, and we'll do it. And you won't even know it hit you. Now that goes against everything Trump would ever say. And what's interesting is Trump, according to the official narrative that they've been trying to pin on him, is some type of Putin puppet. Now, why would Trump, if he's a Putin puppet, be publicly threatening Putin over Syria? And why would Putin be publicly threatening the U.S.? Now, there's so much there to unpack, but what I would think is it's possible, if you want to take the point of view that Trump is working with Putin, well, then they're playing a theater game for the world. I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's like Trump actually is in with Putin, and what he's doing is he's saying, hey, comrade, check this out, and then saying, hey, we're going to bomb you, and then Putin threatens back. More likely what's happening is, I think in all of these cases, that the president, ever since Kennedy defied the CIA in Bay of Pigs, has always been told, like from day one, brought into the back room, there's certain things that you're just going to have to do because you're never going to understand all this. You're going to have to trust us. These are the things that'll keep the country safe. And you don't have enough knowledge. We know what's going on. And if we say you need to invade Syria, you got to send missiles. That's what Trump did. Remember, in the first few months of his presidency, he sent some Tomahawks over there.
Yes, 59.
It's never what it went totally against what he had said he wanted to do. Yep. But it seemed like it's like, okay, I guess I got to do this. Now they could be threatening him. Now the other thing that makes it even more complex is, I would imagine in all these agencies, FBI, CIA, that there are people there that are true patriots. When I say true patriots, I don't mean that they're for Democrats or for Republicans. I mean, they actually take their job seriously. Like, they want to do what's best for the country, and they think that they're in a position to do it, obviously. But I think in all cases, in every case, there's always the possibility for corruption. And that the problem with corruption is, if you do it right, you only have to get at one or two people close to the top who can convince people that this action is in the best interest of the country, even though it probably isn't. But I think what happens in all these cases is you might have the industrial military complex, meaning a defense contractor who may have the ear of someone in the FBI or CIA, whatever it is. And so that's why I think you never get what's necessarily in the best interest, but you always seem to get to favor some type of military action versus no military action. But that also could be deemed as a general principle that the United States always has to have some military action, because that's the way the United States remains, quote, the hegemon. Because you never know when the United States might be sending missiles your way. And so I think that that's part of the whole analysis, is that if you can use the threat, you use the threat. If you have to send the missiles, you send the missiles. And I think they talked down Obama once. Remember when he wanted to do an invasion?
Yes.
The English and the French didn't go. Well, this time England and France is saying end of the week we're sending in the missiles. So this is a strange one because all the countries appear to have bought into Russia gassed people in England, the official story. Same with all the countries, and Assad gassed those kids, and all the media is saying, all the countries are saying in NATO, well then there's only one thing we can do: we must invade Syria. And I'm not sure that that's the only thing you can do, but it seems like they create this air of inevitability.
Yes.
I saw an online poll. It was funny. A Fox poll said, "Do you think that if this happened, the United States should send missiles into Syria?" And 65% said no, like in the first 20,000. And then they kept the poll up, and eventually it flipped.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think that there is, and Trump could be also working out his, he's running this this war of attrition with the FBI because they're not going to let him go. I mean, they just expanded the investigation from Russian collusion to Stormy Daniels and whatever else with this recent raid on his lawyers, which is unprecedented. You raid a private attorney. Imagine if they'd done that to Obama's private attorney.
Woo.
And he realizes they're not going to go away. And maybe part of it is at some point, we'll let this wind down, but you got to play ball too. And missiles into Syria are part of it. Who knows? I can't. People say they know what's going on. There's no way they know. Anyone on YouTube says they know what's going on. No way. They can only offer theories. I just offered one. It could be 100% wrong.
Well, there you go. I think that this is my theory that if the West does in fact attack Assad in Syria, that Russia will in fact retaliate, as Putin has said.
In which way?
I believe that he will attack the United States. I think that he will probably bypass attacking the troops in Syria and that he will attack the U.S. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly confident in the missiles that Putin said that he has, the Mach 20 ICBMs, that has been confirmed, that those missiles do exist. They do have the capability. They do have the appropriate technology, and that they have the ability to do what they have said that they can do. That is a huge deal. If you have a missile that can outrun all the other missiles and it can be launched from Russia and target particular destinations in the United States, and there's no way to stop that, that's a problem.
But what
that's
would be
a serious problem.
It is, but what would be the benefit? See, what I don't get is
what would be the benefit would be we told you to stop. We told you not to do this. We told you to get out. We played nice. We've been diplomatico. We've followed diplomacy for years. We have allowed the United States to run amok and to destroy Syria. We've helped. We've done everything that we can to play nice with this, as you have been a spoiled brat, destroying everything that you touch and lying about everything that has happened or not happened. We've put up with it. We're not putting up with it any longer.
but Rory, let's say they do that, then the United States retaliates against Russia. What do the Russians gain from being nuked too? I mean, that over Syria, just to make a point.
They can't stop it. I mean, I will the S-400 missile system stop nukes from hitting Russia? I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people that say that
the only reason they would do it if they had superiority and they knew that this would be a way of flexing their muscles. I don't think they would ever do it over Syria, nuke the United States, and then say, okay, we're going to take our hit back, and that'll show them. That won't show anybody. The only way they would do it is if they knew they can get away with one show of force, one nuclear weapon, knowing that they couldn't be retaliated against. Well, then, yeah, then they basically are setting themselves up to be in charge. But I'm not sure that. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what capabilities they have. But I wouldn't think it would make any sense if the capabilities are anywhere near equal. They would have to have overwhelming superiority in terms of missile defense and missiles in order to just do that over Syria, because they're not really threatened by Syria. I mean, they would remember 30 years ago they weren't even in the Middle East. It's not like their success relies on having a peace in the Middle East.
This is they've been in Syria for a while, and it's the only deep water port that Russia has outside of Russia. That's it.
Yes, they have, and there's also, I get the geopolitical significance of it. The question is whether they would be willing to suffer enormous losses over that. Now, if they wouldn't suffer losses, and you would say, why wouldn't they do it? In other words, if you threatened me and you're 2'2" and I'm 6'4", and you keep kicking me in the shins and you've been doing it for 5 years, finally I'm going to punch your lights out. That's assuming that I have that capability, and all you could do is keep kicking me in the shins.
Well, that's an excellent point. I mean, that's why I say that's why I prefaced the Mach 20 ICBMs. I'm not 100% on that.
Right. Well, it only makes sense if they had superiority. Otherwise, it's that's not worth risking annihilation, because that's what it would be on both sides. It wouldn't be, once you send one, then the other one sends the other, and then it's, as they say, game on.
Yes.
So I
don't really think that anybody wants that. I really don't. Even as crazy as Lindsey Graham and John McCain and Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein and these other warmongering maniacs are, as crazy as they all are, and as maniacal as they are, I don't really think that they want that.
I agree. Well, I don't know.
Maybe Lindsey Graham and John McCain, maybe they do. I mean, because they're pretty over the top.
Oh, well, the other thing is we didn't talk about is Bolton. He's probably up there with those two.
Yes, he is. Yes, and unfortunately, he's driving the train right now.
Right. So that could have that could be the reason too. Is now that Bolton's in there, this has been a long-standing thorn in the neocon side. Is this? The hell is Russia doing in Syria? That's our ball game. They don't even need to be there. And if Assad wants to do something and he's backed up by those punks in Russia, we're going to take care of that. And now that Bolton, so that could be it too. This could all be Bolton's. He was itching to get into the White House so he can pull this off. But again, these guys know, I would imagine, more than you or I do about the capabilities. Now, one thing about Russia we do know is they made a big stink over how much they had in the 70s and in the 60s. They didn't have all that stuff. They pretended that they did, and they never had it. And it wasn't until it was actually Reagan's genius was he told the military advisor supposedly in the United States believed the Russian threat. Either they believed it because they believed it, or they believed it because they wanted to believe it so they can continue to buy more armaments. And Reagan said to them, well, I don't think so. And why don't we just outspend them? And that's what he did. And it was shown that they didn't have what they thought they had. And maybe that's what's happening here. Again, I wouldn't know. who knows? I don't inspect. Even if I did, I wouldn't know what to look for. So that's when they said remember when they were sending in UN inspectors. What are they going to know? You can hide stuff. Who knows what these countries have? Like, I don't believe anything when they say the Russia has this weapon, China has this supersonic this, and the United States has this. We don't know what they have. Then the other thing was, that the United States, when they said they were going to build a missile system, Reagan said that, Star Wars.
Yep.
The Russians actually believed that. That was just a bluff, too. The United States was never going to build that. They didn't even know how to build it. They basically did like a 1980s Pong diagram, and they showed how it would work. The Russians were like, holy shit, we're screwed. So, I don't know. I find it's just a bunch of spinning wheels to even think that I know what's going to happen. All I know is that there certainly has been, always will be, a portion in United States politics, foreign policy, that's always going to try to push for some type of war. The reasons, I don't know. I think the reasons are
money.
Well, what I was going to say is they can always come up with a pretext, but there always has to be perpetual war. And the reason I say that is, if you look over the last 200 years, there's always been some war going on.
Well, I just pulled up Zero Hedge, and they have pinned at the top that was released at 1:05 p.m. Eastern, which is about an hour ago. 11 Russian warships leave Syrian port to conduct exercises. So
there you go.
We've got just more and more all the time. I find the whole thing just incredibly frightening as far as what could actually happen. Because even if Russia doesn't have this capability, even if the United States can overwhelm Russia, which I don't believe that we can, where does that leave you and I? Where does that leave the people of this world? Where does it leave our world?
Always. I mean, that's the reason that none of these countries actually pull the trigger is the mutually assured destruction, because they use their people both as a human shield and also as a threat. We can harm your people, we can harm yours, and now that's just the state of play that you have no control over that. There's nothing, you talk about the power of the individual. There's really nothing you can do about. You can go and protest. You can write your congressman. You're not going to stop anybody from launching weapons. You can be armed. We can have a tank in our backyard. It's still not going to change anything. That shows you how helpless you really are in the grand scheme of global international politics.
We have no voice.
No, I mean, you can stockpile food. You can have a weapons cache. You can have a bunker. Maybe that might help. But you're still screwed. You have to live in a bunker. I mean, if they decide to do these things, there's really not much you can do about it.
Yeah, Daisy Luther just put together a great article on luxury bunkers in the middle of Kansas. You can get one for about $3 million.
Great. So that's the other thing. Even if you want it, you can't afford it.
Right.
And then you're still not in control, because you have to live in a bunker and everyone else is dead. So,
woohoo! Well, gold and silver have been on a tear all day today. They started rising yesterday.
And guess what? They're down. They're starting to head down.
Looks like the cartel stepped in.
There's only so much they're going to take of this. Silver's up a nickel. Silver was up, 30 cents, 40 cents.
It was about 35 cents earlier.
Yeah, it's up a nickel now.
A whole nickel. The whole thing.
Yeah, we were talking at the top of before we got on the line that you ever notice when you have these big days, it looks like it's going to take off, it just gets capped, and then it gets retreated. And I mean, right now it's just an average day. In fact, the dollar is up. Go figure.
Well, when you and I started, I told you I was writing an article, and I wrote in that article. I haven't hit publish yet.
Two
Here it is.
o'clock.
It says, my guess is the cartel will step in sometime just after the PM fix and attack the market.
Well, it has. Congratulations. Unbelievable.
I mean, it's like clockwork. I mean, you can look at it. You can see on the Kitco chart, which is not the actual chart, but it's close enough. And you can see where the New York market closed, the afternoon PM fix, and there's a line almost straight down just after it closed. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
And if you look at the gold chart, same exact thing. Just ridiculous. But
predictable.
But predictable, yes. I mean, if I can see it, then surely to goodness, most other people can see it as well.
Yep.
But where do we go from here, Louis?
Well, I don't know. I thought we were going to solve the world's problems. It doesn't seem like we did this time. Maybe we have to pick it up another time.
Well, okay.
That's all I can tell you.
Well, I guess we'll try to solve the world's problems here in a month or so, and see if we can do any better.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll gain a bigger well, not a bigger audience, but we'll gain a larger audience than today next time, and continue to grow the audience off the platform.
Yeah, hopefully that will be the case, Louis. We'll just continue to grow it and see where it goes, and try to get some of these people out of the YouTube farm, YouTube ghetto, and move them into the sunshine.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Roy.
Been speaking with Louis Cammarosano, and you can find him over at smaulgld. Tell them all about it, Louis. Well,
you can visit smaulgld on smaulgld.com, and from there you can find out what other platforms I'm on.
Sounds good. Well, we'll pick it up in the not too distant future.
Thanks, Roy.